This is the Ottawa Senators Outlook. Here is your host, Jack Henry.
Hello, welcome to the Ottawa Senators Outlook. I'm your host, Jack. This is my reaction to the Nick Cousins signing, and I was going to make this video on Thursday night when the signing happened, but unfortunately that was overshadowed by the Johnny Gaudreau news. But here we are now on an early Sunday morning. So let's get right into it. As most of you know already, the Ottawa Senators signed Nick Cousins to a one-year deal at $800,000. I think that's a really big steal of a deal, especially for the player Nick Cousins is. I thought for sure maybe he would have gotten $1 million, maybe a little bit more, like in that $1 million to 1.5 range at most, is what I thought he'd get on free agency. And the Senators were looking at him on July 1st, but at the time he wanted more money and more term. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for him, especially with the amount of players that left the Florida Panthers after winning the Cup and basically cashing out. Nick Cousins was not one of them, but thankfully he did join the Ottawa Senators, and he's most likely going to slot into that fourth-line center role. But let's talk about Nick Cousins a little bit. He had 15 points in 69 games this past season with the Florida Panthers, and with the Panthers Cup run, he only had 1 assist. He was scratched at the very end of the run, especially in the Stanley Cup final against Edmonton. He didn't play much. He played a couple of games, but that's just about it. But the year before in Florida, when they lost in the Cup final to Vegas in the regular season, he had a total of 27 points in 79 games. So there was a little bit more production, but more games played. So he could potentially provide 20 points, which honestly, that would be pretty valuable, especially when you have a guy like Dominik Kubalik, who was supposed to be in our third line last year, who got dropped to the fourth line. He only had 11 goals, 4 assists, 15 points. So if you could get 20 points from Nick Cousins, who's going to be the fourth line center most likely, that's really good. And I know there's a lot of controversial things about Nick Cousins, especially with how he plays a physical game. Everybody knows what they're going to get in Nick Cousins. People call him a rat and a turtle for most of his antics with the Florida Panthers. You name it. You can go YouTube it or whatever you want. Kevin BX on Sportsnet obviously had a bit of a rant, and he went into his style of play. But there's a lot about Nick Cousins that a lot of people don't like. But I do believe this does help the Senators because they need that type of physicality, not in the way of injuring other players, but he can be a physical forward, and we do need that. Obviously, you're going to have Ridly Greig in there, Brady Tkachuk, and then you bring in Nick Cousins and as well as David Perron in free agency. And it's nice to see a couple of leadership guys like Brady Tkachuk. Obviously, Nick Cousins played in Florida with his brother Matthew Tkachuk, and then Claude Giroux. Nick Cousins actually got drafted to the Flyers, so he knows Claude Giroux a little bit. So, yeah, there's basically all of it. Nick Cousins, a short and sweet video, signing that one-year deal, $800,000 with the Senators. I personally like it. I've been wanting this guy since May. I do believe watching the Florida Panthers play hockey, I look at them and I say, why can't the Senators play a physical game, good defensive style with the offense that they have? Why can't the Senators do that? So I look at that Florida Panthers team that won the Cup. I really admired that team. I really did. I was very impressed with how they played hockey. And Nick Cousins was a player that kind of struck for me as a guy that was liked in the locker room. His teammates like him, as we all know. But he's the type of guy that you hate to play against, but you love on your team. And that's something that Nick Cousins will bring to the Senators, obviously liked by his teammates. And yeah, so I like it. So comment down below your thoughts on this one. I'll have a couple more videos coming out in the future because now it is September and training camp is right around the corner. I'll maybe get into my standings predictions, and I do have some opinions on that, so maybe I'll come out with that sometime in the next week. So look out for that. But again, comment down below your thoughts on this Nick Cousins signing. But for now, this is Jack the Ottawa Senators Outlook, and go Sens go.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the Ottawa Senators Outlook. For more of this podcast, click on the videos on the left and subscribe by clicking on the icon on the right. Thank you.